Good morning, everyone. This is take two of my video because I recorded all of this and then the computer froze. I think, though, this is a good reminder for everyone that technology fails us. And as the entire world is using technology constantly, I feel like the chance of failure is higher. So do give yourself enough time if you're recording a presentation that you can re-record it as needed or edit if, like, for example, maybe you also before it froze forgot to stop recording and so had a lot of weird footage of yourself just staring at a screen. So anyways, it's Tuesday morning here in Indiana. I'm in my kitchen. I hope you guys are all safe and sound. If you live in Indiana, starting at midnight tonight, we have a stay-at-home order, so only go out for essential travel. And hopefully, again, you guys are taking social distancing seriously so that this can end, and one day we can be together, even if not our classes together. I can't wait to see you all back on campus, and maybe we'll get together for dinner or something next semester. So anyways, today I'm talking about persuasive questions. The meerkats have nothing to do with anything, but I just thought they were cute. We can all use a little smile right now. Speaking of smiling, thank you to everyone who posted on the Flipgrid. Thank you to Rachel, whose idea it was to do that. And I love seeing your responses to questions of the day, getting to hear about your spring break and see your faces and hear your voices. So please, please, please post your video and watch those. Super fun. Okay, so today, real briefly, I want to talk about the 3 targets of persuasion, which leads to the question types of persuasion, and then talking about how different organizational structures can really help you effectively persuade or put together a successful presentation. So the 3 targets of presentations are beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. And sometimes you'll be targeting multiple of these, but I also think it's important to understand what you're looking at, and also understand that in many ways these exist on a continuum. So our beliefs impact our attitudes, which traditionally impact our behavior. And then if, let's say, we're engaging in a behavior that is not consistent with our beliefs or attitudes. So I have an attitude that physical fitness is really important, but I'm on lockdown at home and sitting on my couch. My behavior is not consistent with my attitude or my beliefs that it's good for you. So then I might not feel so great and experience some cognitive dissonance. So this really ties to these 3 types of questions we're going to talk about: question of value, fact, and policy. So I'm going to start in the middle here. Question of fact. These are what relate to persuasive arguments about someone's beliefs. Is something true or not true? So even though the word fact's in there, there's still a lot of debate. So take, for example, the issue of climate change and say, for example, is it real? Is or global warming? Do humans have an impact on that? Do they cause that? Etc. Okay. Then we have questions of values, and these get to our attitudes. So a belief is something is or is not. It is true or not true. It's factual or unfactual. Attitudes are when we start to put value judgments on things. So something is good or bad, or it's right or wrong, or it's moral or immoral. So these are things like, it is wrong to steal. That's a value I have. Countries have an obligation to take care of its most vulnerable people, etc. Okay. And then we have question of policy. And as I talked about, if you've watched the assigning, where I talk about the persuasive assignment, you are arguing for a question policy. Now, you are actually debating or presenting that you want us to support some sort of governmental organizational policy, but policy just means that it's about behavior that should be taken or should not be taken. So it might exist on a formal policy level, but if I say to you, you guys should all create a calendar and a schedule for yourself as you transition to remote learning so you stay on task, that is a question of policy, because I am trying to persuade you to take a certain action. So let's look at these types of questions. If Rachel's watching, she's going to laugh because I'm weirdly stretching because I feel like I'm sitting still too much. Anyways, and usually when I'm talking, I'm walking around, and now I'm just sitting here. But so all of my examples are centered around mindfulness. I've been reading a lot this week about how to cope with the stress and uncertainty of COVID-19. So mindfulness is on my mind. And the first one, a question of value, again, that we're going to look at is when we place a judgment. So this is something as simple as mindfulness is good. It's a good thing, right? Very simple, very basic. Now you might be like, what? Why would you do that? But there might be people who think it's bad. Maybe they say mindfulness is not a good thing. It's bad in some way. It's wrong to be mindful. I don't know why someone would argue that, but it's possible. So topical works really well for these, just sort of, this is good because. So mindfulness is good because it's free, it's calming, and it is effective. Now, question of fact, these you'll see, I think, are a lot more obvious why we would need persuasion. So, for example, let's say that my argument is mindfulness, despite what some can say, can heal a variety of physical ailments. The pattern I'm using here is the refutative pattern. And what the refutative pattern does is it allows you to not only present your own case. So I could say mindfulness heals physical ailments, particularly it heals, fibromyalgia and high blood pressure, something like that. And I could give those. But in refutative, not only do I give my side of the argument, I also present some of the opposition's arguments, their counter arguments, and explain why I think their counter arguments are wrong or why my arguments are better, right? So in here, I'm saying, despite what some people say, can heal a variety of physical ailments. And then for my main points, I might go through and talk about, here's what people have said against mindfulness is healing. But in opposition to that, here is the overwhelming evidence that it does actually work. Another way you can organize a question of fact is using a causal pattern. And that's where you establish that one thing leads to another, that there's a link, because sometimes people don't see that connection or don't believe that that connection is real. So here I say practicing mindfulness leads to boosted immunity. And I found this little chart. And so here I would need to talk about the direct that practicing mindfulness, this practice causes better immunity. And then I would need facts to back that up. And then finally, we have question of policy, which again, might not be an actual policy. My example here is, and a great way to organize those is problem solution. So first I present a given problem, and then I present the solution, which is what I want someone to do or not do, and explain why that solves that. So problem solution works really well whenever you're trying to persuade someone to engage or not engage in a behavior that there's going to be, there's a benefit or a positive outcome. Sorry. I think it's my dentist canceling appointments. Emily's going to be very sad. She was scheduled to get her braces on. So problem solution. So here I have, as stress continues to plague college students, there should be a requirement to take a mindfulness course freshman year. So the idea is the problem I'm highlighting here is stress of college students. And then the solution I'm advocating for is a required mindfulness course. So the assignment that I posted has a list of persuasive topics that I ask you to identify. Is it a question of fact, value, policy? And then there's where it's going to ask you to come up with some example topics and sort of think about what organizational, like how you would use these different organizational patterns to support that. So that's all I have for now. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon.